soon as the red light comes on and the little thing on the ceiling,
Clock.
we can start the meeting then.
You got 3 minutes before.
Watch your language.
Like you want to watch your language.
Until the free for all.
What's on? What's on?
Sherry. I will give you just a brief introduction to the project and if they have any questions.
Okay. The light is on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, we're live.
Got a couple minutes before 7 o'clock. Unless you want to start now. I'll do it.
You don't want to rush things.
I do, yeah. Well, we have a few minutes, but I think everybody's here, so we should probably start the meeting. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't have any minutes to take care of this time because this is actually our second meeting, and the minutes will be taken care of next month at the regular meeting. I'd like to welcome Mark to the.
Thank you. I'm Mark LaGrosse.
Oh, I guess we didn't have it. And Mark is a full member right now.
That was quick.
Well, yeah, we kind of had a lot of people kind of, I don't know. Yeah. But, we've
Am I
got-
getting in the hot seat?
No, I mean, we're missing Brent tonight, I don't know where he is.
I think he's still up north doing project.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We have more than enough for quorum tonight, so, there's no public hearing, there's no old business really. Our new business is the site plan review application for the portable classroom at Vickery, and, I don't know if do you want to speak, Sherry, or
I can just give a brief introduction and then,
Randy could speak to it.
yep, you can speak for both of us if you want.
Either way, yeah. Yeah, I got a good introduction on the project last week as far as the need. Essentially, it's something that they've kind of been looking at for a little while, but with COVID coming up, it's kind of elevated that so that they need to get into a portable classroom. As we talked about last week, it'll be in the same neighborhood as the existing portable classrooms, just on the north side of the fire lane. We're set up to tie into the water line that's adjacent to the portables, and the sewer is a little bit unknown right now. We've got to do some groundwork to figure out where the sewer is. But those are, and we talked about stormwater briefly last time around. If you do some quick calculations on it, you'll find that we're only adding about 1% more impervious area to the site, which is almost negligible as far as increase in stormwater runoff. We'll be essentially running the stormwater, will run overland across the fields, so any increase is negligible as far as that goes. Plenty of distance on the setbacks. I think we're 240 feet or so from property lines, so plenty far away from property lines. And I guess those are probably the highlights. Certainly, if you have any questions, I'm willing to try to answer them.
Are there any questions right now before we go into the application?
I don't have it.
I think
Well, here last, we covered most of it last, 2 weeks ago. And we're on the fast track right now. We'll wait till next month, it'll be too late. The application, I'm just gonna go over these. We can follow along on this. I'm going to go with finding of facts. And just kind of go over it and see what has to be addressed and what doesn't have to be addressed. On the second page of the finding of facts, that's the cover page. The meeting was held last month, like I said. Everybody's been notified as to, anybody that's nearby. I'm not gonna ask, at the end of it, I'll ask for a public hearing. I don't know if you wanna address that, but it's on there. The fees have been paid. Do we need a technical fee? There's a $150 technical fee we can vote for if we choose to.
Tax money paying tax money.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially.
You know, if there's a reason for a technical fee, if we think we're gonna run into any problems. If not, we can waive the technical fee if everybody's in agreement.
I would waive it. I don't see
I'll second it.
We're not gonna.
You don't do it that way? Okay.
No, because it takes all night long to do it that way, so I just,
All right.
I run through
I'm
it.
okay with it.
At
I'm
the end
okay.
of it,
All
at the
right.
end of it, we'll vote on it.
Yep, I say the technical fee can be waived.
We used to do it that way, and I was just like, I wanna go to sleep sometimes. Submission requirements, we, in section 8.2, this is pretty much mirrors what we just did. We're waiving the technical fee of $150.
Did we discuss section F, the holding of inspection?
Let me see. I'm gonna hold on to the public hearing and site inspection till later on, if that's, because it seems like you almost have to cover the basics before you decide whether these things are necessary.
Seems reasonable. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, 8, section B is, we just kind of covered that in the last section. We're waiving the technical fee. The binding of the application. What do you mean by that, Steve? In section
What number?
8B.
How'd you get way up there?
Well, but, I'm gonna talk about the public hearing after and the
Okay,
inspection after.
8B,
Yep.
evidence is,
8C. I mean.
I received a check today for the application fee. That one is all right. The technical fees you voted, you invited not to have, and voted not to have them, right?
Okay, so, I'm just gonna put down waiving the binding, because it's already done. Or, let me put in a, general information 8.1. Building inspector recommends allowing the information on Darrell's engineering tax map overlay sheet to satisfy the requirement. The requirement is the location of all the building setbacks, and planning board allows that the maps show the setbacks.
Yep, great.
Names and addresses of all property owners, get down to section 8.1I. Evidence of the applicant's technical and financial capability to carry out the project. Do we consider the information sufficient?
Yes.
Yes.
The affirmation signed and dated by the applicant that the information provided in the application is correct, and that the proposal, if approved and built, shall be constructed and operated in accordance with the standards of this proposal as approved in all conditions of approval, if any. Do we consider that information to be sufficient? That is 8.1K.
Yes.
If anybody doubts it, just speak up loudly. 2.2 existing conditions, the bearings and length of all property lines of the property shall be developed, to be developed, and the source of this information. Planning board may waive this bearings and length of all property lines of the property to be developed. Planning board may waive this requirement of the boundary survey when sufficient information is available to establish underground all property boundaries. Do we consider the information sufficient? Yes.
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 Location and size of any existing sewer, water mains, culverts, and drains, on-site sewage disposal wells, underground tanks, or installations of power and telephone lines and poles on the property to be developed on abutting streets or land that may serve the development, and an assessment of their adequacy and condition to meet the needs of the proposed use. Appropriate elevations must be provided as necessary to determine the direction of sewer and stormwater flow. We talked about the only thing the only thing that you're not quite sure of is
It's sewer, right? There's a septic tank essentially between the Vickery building itself, the building proper, and the first portable. And we know ultimately we could tie into that if we had to. The elevation's down fairly deep. But as you head north, the sewer line runs underneath the two buildings, and the contractor's hoping that he can tie the sewer in on the north side of the second portable, if he can find it there. He's found the water line there. He's going to plan on tying the water line in on that north side, so it's a fairly short run across to the new portable. He's hoping when he excavates that he can find the sewer there as well. If that's the case, it'll be a 50-foot connection. Otherwise, he'll have to go all the way back to the septic tank. So we know that it can be done. We're just not sure which of those options is going to work just yet.
The septic tank, you kind of explain why there's a septic tank?
I don't know the reason it's there, but there is one. If you're looking at the buildings from I guess it's the east side, there's the main school building, and then there's a little fenced-in area of the propane tank, and within that there's a pump station, and then just beyond that is a septic tank. I'm not sure of the reason. I don't know if it has to do with
that. We usually don't see a septic tank.
Right, yeah, I agree. I don't know what the purpose of it. I don't know, maybe the run was longer than what they expected, or just how that's configured.
More like the tank would be coming out of the building, then goes to the pump station?
That's correct. I assume they go from the portables into the septic tank,
Right.
then to the pump station. They're right next to each
They're
other.
probably doing that to cut down the amount of solids going to the pump station.
I would imagine that's the case. I'm not sure how far that pump station has to pump. It looks like it's about a 2-inch line coming out of that, so I'm sure that had a factor as to the way they designed it. And maybe they didn't want to go with a full-fledged, 3 or 4-inch force main or grinder pump. It would save them from having to go with that extra cost and hassle. So I assume that's the purpose of that septic tank.
Didn't there used to be two buildings there at one time, years and years ago?
Yeah, there are 2
There's
portables
still
there.
two.
Yep.
Oh, there's still 2.
Yeah, there's 2 portables there now. Right.
And this next one is going across where the playground is, just on the edge.
If you can't tie in that 50-foot run to the existing line and you have to go further, is that going to significantly alter the cost of the project, and have you accounted for that, if so?
The contract, I don't know, have you seen the prices from the contractor yet?
We just put an additional for the pad, and, we kind of estimated what we thought it would be. So I'm hoping with the application we have for our grant, we can open it up once by the end of September, so that we could remove something we put in there if the cost for that is more, and increase that and take something else out if we have to.
So it's not like you're going to get partway done and then have to stop?
No.
Okay.
No.
I guess the only question I would have is, if you do use the septic, is that septic rated to handle that, that extra usage?
That's a good question. It's
Well, it wouldn't be going into a leach field, so.
right.
Basically, it's still pumping into the regular sewer system for town, the tank would just, the pump would run more often.
Right.
Essentially.
Okay.
This was what we called BS before sharing, so I don't know anything about this, but I had asked, has it ever been pumped? Wouldn't it need to be? And there's no record of it. So.
Pretty much a transfer tank then at that point, right?
Yeah.
More than likely what it is in school, probably younger school too, a lot of things can get flushed, so if they have a place for things to settle,
Okay.
it probably makes the pump run a lot longer.
And I've been told it's a
That's
septic
my
tank.
world.
I've been told it's a septic tank, and maybe, as he spoke, maybe it's more of a transfer or a wet well. Maybe that's more the purpose of it as well. And the line coming out of it, I didn't get an exact measurement, but it's something like a 2-inch line.
Yeah.
Maybe ID is 1.5, which tells you that it's got something for solids are already removed, or else it's a grinder pump.
So there's no record anywhere of the design of whatever that is?
Well, I don't know about that. I haven't seen it. Let me put it that way. I don't know.
Well, one of the things that will have to happen is you'll have to obtain, or the applicant will have to obtain a sewer connection permit.
Mhm.
And at that point in time, it will be approved by the sewer and water district manager, Chris Pelletier.
Right.
So I think it's a kind of a moot point at this point.
That means, according to this, more information would be required for the permit.
Yep, we can just, yep.
That's all I'm gonna lay it out. I'm gonna say that, the sewer permit is information that will be needed. Location names and present widths of existing public and or private streets and rights of way within or adjacent to the proposed development. There's a map, and as long as everybody's seen it, you can agree with it and understand it, I guess. Do we need
I think it should
information?
be clear.
Yeah. That's what I'm asking. We're gonna say we got sufficient information.
Yep.
Location, dimensions, and ground floor elevation of all existing buildings on the site. Again, is the information sufficient from the master?
I would say it was.
Location and dimensions of existing driveways, parking, loading areas, walkways, and sidewalks on or immediately adjacent to the site. Is that information sufficient?
Yes.
Location of intersecting roads or driveways within 200 feet of the site, sufficient?
Yes.
Location of open drainage courses, wetlands, stone walls, graveyards, fences, stands of trees, and other important or unique natural features and natural areas and site features, including but not limited to floodplains, deer wintering areas, significant wildlife habitat, scenic areas, habitat for rare and endangered plants and animals, unique natural communities and natural areas, sand and gravel aquifers, historic and archaeological sites, together with descriptions of such features. Do we need more information than we have? Is this, sufficient?
Sufficient.
So complete. The next one is 8.3A. Estimated demand for water supply and sewage disposal, together with locations and dimensions of all provisions. We've kind of gone over a lot of that, and that to go back to the sewage. That will require additional information as far as a sewage permit. Let me see. Eight point three, part E. Proposed landscaping and buffering. Sufficient? Yes?
Yeah.
This one we covered in another portion. Location, dimensions, and ground floor elevation of all proposed buildings. That's sufficient. No signs proposed. Exterior lighting.
Is there any exterior lighting?
There will be the same as what's on the existing portables.
Just lights at the side of the door, like a standard residential type light.
Sufficient?
Yeah, yes.
We don't need a sign permit for that. Location of all utilities, including fire protection systems. Assuming there'll be fire protection there. I think you have to put it anyway. Do we have that sufficient information on that?
Yes.
That will be addressed in the state of Maine construction permit as well. So if it's needed, it will be so noted.
Steve, is there any requirement as to how far away a fire hydrant has to be, do you know? Because there's two hydrants there, but the location of this is further away from either of the two hydrants that are already there. Is there any requirement, for a distance to a fire hydrant that you know of?
None that I know of, but again, that probably will be taken care of in the application to the fire marshal.
Stormwater calculations, erosion and sediment control areas. Project doesn't require a Maine Department of Environmental Protection, I'm assuming. I don't know if everybody follows, I'm on 8.3L right now.
How about K? What happened to K?
Peak, complete, well,
Okay, excuse me.
it was complete, so I skipped over to L because of the question. Is there any question, or do we consider the information submitted to be sufficient?
Sufficient. Agreed.
I think that's
Approval, section 9 right now. I don't know that we actually have anything to address in section, oh we do. 9.7, pedestrian circulation. The site plan must provide for a system of pedestrian ways within the development appropriate to the type and scale of development. The system must connect the major buildings and entrances, exits with parking areas and existing sidewalks, blah, blah, blah. Is the information sufficient in this section? Or does anybody doubt that?
I would say yes.
Stormwater. The sewage disposal covered, been noted in other sections. And it's highlighted at the bottom of this 911. The statement requires a statement from the assistant supervisor of the sewer and water district that everything can be adequately met. And we've covered that already, just a note. Solid waste disposal. It just says here it's not addressed by the applicant, but I don't know if that's really a problem. If that's a problem, anybody can just ask questions now.
Well, this bill isn't be added, but because of additional students being added, just because of distances, right? There's no additional students.
Right.
Yeah, there's actually 2 extra classrooms to be added to the school. Where did you put down the note that use of public roads needs to be addressed?
Well, if in the process of hauling in gravel and, hauling in the building, if they should damage School Street, for instance, we want them to agree that they would repair that. That's why that statement is there. What we might do is, when we start construction, or what we should do, is photograph that street and put that in the file for documentation, and then if it looks the same when you're all through, we're happy. If it doesn't, then it's gonna be repaired.
I think if things continue, they stay dry like they are, there'll be a mute point.
Thank you.
Everything pretty hard right now.
Does that need to be a condition of the?
I would say that we should just show the condition that they should photograph the condition of the road and be prepared to repair it if damage is done, would be my.
So I wrote down, road should be repaired if damaged by construction, photographs necessary. Anything else that you might want to let me write down?
Seems all right.
Form of guarantee. We need a performance guarantee. Different types of performance guarantees. So do we feel that a performance guarantee is necessary for this project?
I would say no.
I agree.
So what I'm gonna do is ask for we can bring this to vote. The application will be approved with the additional information required as noted on this fact finding. So someone can make a motion and we can vote on it.
Well, you
Should we discuss,
discuss the site and public hearing before.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Do we need a site
No.
review? And do we need a public hearing?
No.
I would say no too.
Has anybody expressed any concerns? Anybody else?
I've been up there recently, actually.
We did send notices to everyone who was within 250 feet of any of the property lines of the school, and I haven't heard anything back.
Yeah, I don't think we need a public hearing.
No site inspection. And not a public hearing.
What was the vote on, no, you don't want a site inspection?
No site inspection, no public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
So now you want a motion.
You might read those conditions.
Conditions are,
So, hold it. So from our going through this list, we're waiving the technical amount. Okay, we're waiving the technical amount, but we're adding in where they're gonna photograph School Street.
yeah, it's just,
And we're waiving the public hearing, and we're waiving the site.
Site inspection.
Evaluation.
Okay. Why are we doing this, having the photograph School Street?
in case the construction vehicles damage the street. That's something we added some time ago, because we had a project that did that, just about destroyed the street it was on, and so that was added to our site plan review procedure.
But we're not asking for a bond or anything to be posted, we're just,
No, I think the chances are slim that that's gonna happen, like Tom said, but.
How many yards is all in there?
Oh, I haven't done the math on it. The concrete, I don't know, 25, 30 yards of concrete and triple that of gravel. Plus two halves of the building.
Yeah. Well, take some pictures and.
Yep.
When we give them a receipt tonight, this receipt will show that, we'll check that in addition to what's on right here, that it specifies anything that's checked in the form, finding of facts, so.
So the other two things on the form was, just let me think about, the sewer, issue, basically, we're gonna get pending approval when that, as long as that's done satisfactorily, which is, I don't see any problem there.
yeah, it's a matter of getting the permit.
Right.
Yeah, that's on the condition on the last, got that written on that last page too, right? And the same thing with the fire marshal, the other thing that we talked about with.
The hydrant.
So we've got the conditions,
I would make a motion, we accept with the conditions listed on the application.
A second.
any more discussion on it? There's a sewer permit and, taking pictures of the road, basically. Has the additional information for the permit. Hearing no questions, all in favor of approving the permit, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. There you got it.
So now you've got a site plan to sign, and that receipt to give to them.
Now, I don't have Mylars. Do you require Mylar? If you do, I can bring in I can print out a copy.
Randy, absolutely.
What size is your,
18 by 24 is the sheet that I have.
Yeah, if you can, if they can sign that tonight, if you can reduce that down to 8.5 by 14, the register deed will record that without your sepia. If you leave it full size, they want a sepia and they want a full copy.
Oh, really? I thought that had changed.
We just did it
Oh, you
2
did?
days
The
ago.
Scott County changed, but I don't think Somerset did.
Probably just bringing the small ones in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Corey just did that a while ago, and they accepted it.
Yeah, okay.
So do we want to sign that right now so they can leave, or is that gonna stay here?
We ought to sign it right now.
No, make them stay.
But I do want them to leave.
I've got a granddaughter to visit, so make it snappy.
Because I've got to take out a letter that's signed by the notary of the republic, so I'll leave that here, and then in the next few days I'll do the letter.
Okay. Now, do you need the conditions added to the plans? Or can you just simply say, see findings of fact?
Yeah, you could simply say that, yeah.
Okay. So I can print that on there if you'd like.
The letter
If you
of
want, you can
approval
use
and
this,
that
that's
document
Okay, thank you.
has to be recorded.
Pardon me?
The letter of approval and that document needs to be recorded. If you feel comfortable, you can record the whole finding of facts, but it's not necessarily required for the comments.
You sign them both.
Would 2 paper copies be adequate at this point, Steve?
Pardon me?
2 paper copies be sufficient at this point?
Of what's signed there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign the bottom copy. Thought you were kinda quick on the draw.
I'm just excited.
Simone,
Yes.
did you sign the bottom copy too? There's two, you gotta sign 2 places.
Oh, I didn't.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Somebody's gotta keep us on this.
While you're signing, I'd like to welcome you to the planning board.
Thank you.
Yes.
He's experienced, he's been on the planning board before. And twisted his arm a bit and he came back. So. And then Corey Farrell, who lives here in Pittsfield, is going to be an alternate. He will be approved, hopefully, by the council at the next meeting in September.
So I take one of these, right, Steve?
Yep.
Need the other one? Okay. All right. Thank you, folks. Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much.
Sure, good luck, Steve.
Thank you.
Good
I hear that
job.
every day.
Say again?
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, second, we got site plan review for the addition to the existing building of Innovative Specialties. Anybody want to give us the rundown?
I need to take this off. I'm Amy Young with Plymouth Engineering, representing Innovative Trailers. Pretty straightforward. They have an existing building out in the industrial park, and they're proposing to add a 60 by 100 heated warehouse space to the rear of the building from the industrial park road. There is no new sewer or water demand associated with this. No new employees are being proposed. No new signage is being proposed. As you can see, this is a 50-foot setback, and if you read their deed, which has all the covenants for the industrial park, it is in excess of the 50 feet, which is the 25-foot setback plus the 25-foot buffering that's required on all property lines within the industrial park. No stormwater has been designed for this due to it being covered under the SLOTA for the industrial park back in 1980, I believe, or sometime in the 80s. There will be 2 security lights, 1 or 2 security lights on the exterior of the building, but again, it's back behind the existing building from the road, so it shouldn't be a problem. Fire protected, it will be fire separated from the existing building. There are no proposed changes to the entrances as they exist, and there's no proposed changes to the parking lot as it exists up here. They're proposing to add additional gravel parking down on this driveway here. Another standard in the deed is that they cannot exceed 40% of the area of the lots with impervious surface. I ran the quick calculation this morning, they're at 24% right now, so they're well within those standards. And that about covers it. I basically went through the findings of facts, and any questions or issues that arose, I hope to address those so that this process can go pretty quick. So if you have any other questions.
With no drawings, that pitch of the roof is gonna be tied into the pitch of the other building?
It's gonna be a single slope from the peak.
Right, so they'll change the peak on the other one?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was just curious, 'cause
Yep. I brought elevation.
right, and, will there be any exterior doors for fire
There's
doors or anything?
one here at the far end in reflection to the front of the building,
Right.
and then one at the rear.
Right.
So those are basically would be like a straight pass through if you went straight front to back.
Right.
And then there'll obviously be doors back into the main building as well.
Those exterior doors are essentially safety fire door type exit.
And then an overhead door going up. But is that an existing overhead door that's in the backside that's going up into there?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
No, I believe that's gonna be a fire door. They'll separate the two.
When you say it's going on the back of the building, it's going towards the residences?
Well, the garage door will be on the existing shop side. There'll be nothing on the back side unless she has, I don't know, what door drawing in. There should be nothing on the back side.
No, but I mean your.
The building itself.
Building itself is gonna be extended towards the residences?
Oh, yeah, correct.
Yes. But we've got in excess, this dash line here is 50 feet from the property line. And so this building as well is within that, and there will be no cutting within that 50 feet.
You probably have a temporary access road to get to it, to build it.
Yeah, just enough to get.
Just enough to build it and then go back to natural.
Gotta be vegetated, I believe.
Yes.
You mentioned that there's no new signs, but I'm seeing on the plan it says proposed sign location. So on the first page there,
I don't know if he has the same one.
I might have it. So right next to the existing driveway,
See the driveway.
says R25, R23, and then directly below that proposed sign location.
That could be from the previous
I
application.
think it might have been carryover.
It's probably the carryover from the first time.
Okay.
From the first time this was permitted back in 17 and 2017.
If you do require a sign, you do need to get a sign first.
Yeah.
That governs the size and so forth.
What's the time frame on construction?
As soon as possible.
Before snow?
We were hoping to be in it by now.
Sure.
Any more questions?
I don't have any.
And again, I'm gonna hold off on the public hearing question to the end. We could consider a site inspection now if you wanted to. I think we have enough information about how it's gonna be built and where.
I would say we don't need a site inspection.
Anybody want a site inspection?
No, I don't.
No. No.
I'm good.
So you voted for not having a site?
Not having a site inspection, we haven't voted on a public hearing.
Oh, okay, I wondered, okay. 'Cause
I'll let that fly for a while. Application fee has been paid, technical review fee. We need a technical review fee for reasonable cost incurred by the board. such as consulting, engineering, or other professional field fees, attorney fees, recording fees, and appraisal fees.
No, not required.
Not required. Everybody agreed?
Yeah,
I agree.
8.1 right now. Going down. Everything seems to be completed. Uh, 8.1, letter I at the bottom. Evidence of the applicant's technical and financial capability to carry out the project as proposed. Is this information adequate to the board, or do we need more information?
Looks pretty clear to me.
Good?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Yep.
In 8.2, there's a note here on part E that the applicant's statement in the submittal appears to be in error. The applicant should clarify existing building floor and floor elevations as shown. Well, the existing building and floor elevations are shown, but the floor elevation of the addition isn't shown. So, assuming that's kind of an oversight on that.
It's gonna be the same elevation as the existing.
Do you require that on the plan, Steve? No.
I think if we just made a note here that that was gonna be the same elevation as the existing slab, we'd have it covered. I almost didn't say anything about that because I really expected it would be at the same elevation, but I wasn't sure, so I mentioned it.
You never know. Gotta ask.
If you're going through with a forklift.
Yeah, so you're pretty heavy on the forklift up that stairs.
It's a hell of a pump.
Okay, the location of open drainage courses, wetlands, stone walls, graveyards, fences, stands of trees, and other important natural features. Trees cannot be removed from the buffer zone. That's Is the information given tonight sufficient for the planning board? Or do we need more information about the buffer?
Adequate.
Adequate.
I'm okay.
Shows 50 feet and, well, it's not to be cut down, it's part of the plan. Direction of existing water surface drainage across the site. Is everybody clear about that and satisfied with it?
Yes.
Adequate information. Location, front view dimensions of lighting of existing signs. There's no signs being added, just lights. 8.3, section C. Provisions for handling all solid waste, including hazardous and special waste, and location and proposed screening of any on-site collection or storage facilities. Is the information good?
Yes.
Yes.
Proposed landscape and buffering. Is this, is the information adequate for the board?
Yes.
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 Location, dimensions, and ground floor elevations. We said before, it's just not given on the plan, but is the information for the board considered adequate?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Location and type of exterior lighting. Information adequate or not adequate?
Adequate.
Location of all utilities, including fire protection systems. There's no utilities except, I'm assuming it's gonna be sprinklers inside.
No, it'll be separated by a fire door, I believe sections of under 10,000 feet.
Okay.
sufficient.
So the building is sprinkled, but the addition won't be?
It is not sprinkled. There's
Okay.
there's no area bigger than 10,000 square feet that's not separated by a fire door.
Okay, but is it the existing building, is that sprinkled?
No.
Oh, okay, that's what I did want to try, yeah, I think it was.
Is that adequate for the board?
Yes.
Yes.
General description of proposed use or activity.
Yes.
Everybody agrees?
Yes.
Estimate of peak hour and daily traffic to be generated. Is information adequate for the board?
Yes.
I actually have a question on that. So the warehouse doesn't concern me at all. The future gravel parking, it looks like there's another entryway there going onto Perillo Drive.
There's already 2 driveways there.
Oh, the driveway already exists. It's
Yeah.
just
The only thing that's proposed are the 2 parking areas. This driveway, this parking lot, and this driveway all currently exist.
Okay. Thank you.
Stormwater calculations, erosion and sedimentation control measures. Are there any questions, or is that
That's
sufficient?
Adequate. Agreed.
Okay, the approval block. Do we have an approval block? Or are we going on
Where she's going,
there? Okay, there we go.
already reduced.
Even as we speak. Section 9.1, utilization of the site, which is covered in section 8.2, I believe.
That's adequate.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, 'Adequacy of the road section in 9.2, is information sufficient?
Yes.
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 Adequate access to the site. The access to the site are by the drives, the driveway is shown on the plan. Is this information sufficient for the board?
Yes. Yes.
Nine point six, parking layout design. Is this information sufficient for the board?
Yes.
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 Stormwater management, this is 9.8. The question covers the whole of it. Is this information adequate?
Yes.
Yes.
Was 9.6 adequate?
Yes.
Excuse me.
I'll go back to where it was.
Tracking.
Yes.
Where that's gonna be gravel parking anyways.
Right.
It will not be any lines or anything.
No.
In the natural features, this talks about maintaining the 50-foot vegetated buffer. Is the information, planning board finds the information submitted accomplishes the above, or the planning board requires a 50-foot buffer at the east property line as shown.
I mean, I think we require it, but it's already there.
Yeah, so the information submitted accomplishes the above, because basically it's there already. Hazardous, special, and radioactive materials, handling and storage of all materials. Let's see. Is the information adequate for handling of
Yes.
special storage and radioactive materials? Yes. Sure. Technical and financial capacity. That goes back to 8.1. Is the information adequate?
Yes.
Keep wanting to lick my fingers so I can turn the pages, but I can't. Solid waste disposal, and we've covered that a number of times, I think it's adequate. Form of guarantee. Do we want an improvement guarantee?
I would say at this point with an established business already there, very unlikely it wouldn't get finished.
I agree.
Everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree with it.
Improvement guarantee is not required. I don't think we had any conditions in this
No.
at all.
Hold up.
We can decide whether or not we want to have a public hearing.
Was there anybody contacted you, Steve?
No. Unless Pete over there, he's the word guy, he got a lot of.
I have 2 properties that are nearby, but I don't think they're near that, where they're gonna expand. From what I can see from the map, so.
Has anybody approached you with the business?
No.
No.
Did you say you sent letters out?
Yeah, I got a letter.
Yeah, I think there's like 3 people that came last time, the original plan. They're concerned about noise, lighting, and smoke was a big thing.
I haven't noticed anything.
No.
Did
Did you hear anything? Did you hear anything?
I don't live there, but I have 2 tenants and I'm there a good majority of the time on the weekends and I haven't heard any issues.
There is a list of people that we sent notices to on the last few pages of the finding a facts document.
Usually if there's a problem, you know about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that was gonna be my question, since this is a new business, I mean, 3 years ago, I mean, how many people were here for the first public hearing? You said 3 or 4. Was everybody, were you guys all members of that?
I've been here for quite a while. There might have been a couple, I remember a couple people being here and asking basically a few questions about, maybe traffic, noise, lighting, a couple of things.
Yeah.
Nobody was,
So it would have been set, because there would have been a public hearing for the expansion of the industrial park too, right?
There would have been, yeah.
Yeah. I would say that the public hearing isn't necessary.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Me too.
Planning board decides not to hold a public hearing. That's one of the first questions, but it's always kind of, the reason why I hold it till the end is because you don't really know until you cover the
Yeah.
whole application.
if there was 10 people standing here complaining, it might be a different story. But it doesn't happen too often.
No, there.
Well, I think that's, that's why it's in the industrial park too, in the sense of identified as being the place to put expansion and business.
The buffer zone, I think, is pretty effective too.
Because that expansion's that only happened, what, maybe 10 years ago at the most? Or longer than that,
That sounds reasonable.
10 years? 2009, 2010, something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And this is the only business on the new expansion
Yeah.
so far.
Now, let me read this. Before a building permit can be issued, the following must be satisfied. The applicant must record the approval letter and the plot plan signed by the board members and record it in the Somerset County Registry of Deeds within 30 days of the approval. The planning board requires structural plans stamped by Maine registered engineer before the issuance of a building permit. The project requires a plan review and construction inspection per Maine Uniform Building and Energy Codes by a state of Maine certified third-party inspector. All town, state, and federal permits as required shall be issued before a town building permit can be issued. And as long as that's been taken care of, I will entertain a motion to approve the application.
I make a motion that we approve the application.
I'll second.
Any more questions, any more discussion? Need none, all in favor of approving the application, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no, nay. It's a vote.
Is business good?
This is really good right now. COVID has fortunately helped us out.
Because people want to be away, they need something to move
Yeah,
their stuff away with.
They're recreating, that's for sure. People spend money.
How far you guys send your trailers?
We go as far north as Newfoundland or east, I would say. Nova Scotia, Quebec, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio.
Oh, you have gone as wide? Is that the fastest out west?
I haven't signed yet.
Oh, you got a distributor out there? Oh, okay, then that.
They do a pretty good job. You're gonna sign that paper and the receipt that I gave you.
You should have trouble hiring people.
Yeah, because I know.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's just one.
But we got a good four group of people now, so. You got what? A good four group of people.
And
So that's good. Did some people jump ship?
no, I believe.
You always have those stamps right over here.
Yeah.
That extra 50 cents.
You guys in the vacation schools and the side of the.
Yeah, I go to them with some success.
Don't blame for the boss.
All the way to the high school level.
Or you can go down there.
Yeah, just kind of plant seeds.
Good luck with the construction.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Good.
One of these days I'll swing out that way.
And the other discussion, one of the things we wanna do is look at.
We don't have the doors installed on a lot of those buildings.
We're in a pandemic, but getting parts is almost impossible.
Oh, okay.
We gotta build trailers. Parts of
Hardware for mounting doors, hardware.
Yeah.
You'll see them.
It's something different
One of the customers.
every week.
You'll see them with no doors, 1 week, no wheels, the next.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
I got an idea for you guys. I want to stop by and share with you guys someday.
Yeah.
You guys would have a trailer that would be the #1 seller in the country.
And how much you want for that idea?
Probably a 12-pack of beer.
Do a lot of your parts come from the Midwest?
Indiana,
Yeah.
a lot of it comes out of Elkhart,
Yes.
Indiana.
Huge amounts of trailers built in Indiana.
Yeah.
Because what I was told years ago was all the camp, they built campers and everything. A lot of people get out of building, or used to work for a company building motorhomes and campers. They went into building trailers, so that's, I know
Camping and trailer capital of the world,
Right.
Elkhart, Indiana.
20 years ago, you could buy a gooseneck flatbed. If it was for sale here in New England, it was 12 or 14,000. The same exact trailer in Indiana was half price.
That's your receipt.
Is that price?
Yeah,
Thanks for
huge difference.
You're welcome.
Have you signed this yet?
You signed it?
Yes. I think Mo was on one.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry.
Lock in, please.
You gonna bring her out here?
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. It's probably
Steel. I don't know where that is actually.
Where's Kalamazoo?
You guys don't have a contract?
Hey, it's better I don't lie, right?
Yeah, you know, the belt.
3 or 4 instead of trucks and material down to Elkhart every day.
And have a timeline when
Massive amounts.
So you work for a company that's manufacturing, a rolling mill or anything, or everything's different?
Where'd it go?
Aluminum, steel,
Let's talk about that, please.
and then is that
When-
plastic?
No, no.
That's one.
Thank you, everybody.
No, it was small one, too, and it disappeared.
I made sure everybody's like it.
Oh,
Oh, I thought we had got 2 copies.
No, I said for one.
so Mo, you got the little one?
I already signed it.
Yep,
Yep.
everybody signed a little one, so do I take this back?
We use
I got it.
I keep it like.
I say we use a lot
Okay,
of
and just give me a call when the letter's done.
That's
materials
true.
for fabricating
No
building
problem.
things. No, huge,
Okay.
yeah, fabricated a lot of things over the last 40 years.
I know what you're gonna say.
Done very little with business.
Yeah, they do that out in the Midwest.
Yeah, mostly,
That'd be slick.
regular iron, regular steel, and
It's not a big
stainless.
thing out here, we do build shops.
Nice thing about
Oh, we ought to go
stainless is usually, once you build it in stainless,
I'll have to come by and look at it.
there for a
Yeah.
long time.
All right.
Very true. Milk facility, the only one in the state of Maine is 100% stainless, no galvanized or anything else.
Yeah,
It's 13 years old now.
I just want to point out a few things.
You scrub it a little bit.
I'm looking for that letter. Did I get that letter from the house that we do after?
Well, it wasn't mine.
It tends to be a little bit more brittle for a
I
structure.
see the line somewhere, but,
Right here,
okay, that's what,
you need it?
Letter right here.
yeah, I know. I gave her a grab.
Yeah, I forgot you had to read down to the manual.
Yeah, for a while, but at first,
You did well.
but this, they used to, take a motion on every item or something, now that's crazy. Spend half the day here just going over it.
Well, as long as no one objects,
Yeah, well,
and
it's,
if they did, then it would be an issue.
yeah, and then we can discuss it and take a vote,
Right.
as long as everybody's gonna agree with it.
Yep.
What about it?
So one of the things that we were instructed to do by the town council was to review our subdivision ordinance. And I haven't had really any time to work on it any more than I looked at our subdivision ordinance, in our ordinance book here. And it makes an interesting comment. The purpose of this, our ordinance, is to clarify the approval criteria of the state subdivision law found in Title 30 AMRSA, Section 4404. So I went to the state website and I printed out the Section 4404 and 4403 for you to have for the next meeting. And we need to, I don't think there's much we can change about this because it's dictated by the state. And I was hoping to have a conversation with somebody at the state about this, and I just haven't got that far. But I thought you now have the 2 state ordinances that apply, and then of course in your code book, you have the subdivision ordinance. So that's a little homework, I guess, for the next,
A couple weeks from now?
yeah, the next meeting. Unless you want to discuss it a little bit tonight, or discuss anything else in that letter.
When was the last time that didn't there used to be a ordinance committee?
There is still,
There is still.
you know, it's basically part of the council members. But,
Oh, that's how that went?
yeah,
Because I recall when I sat on the board there, whatever one it was, many years ago, it seemed like they were trying to reestablish some zoning. I remember having a vote about reestablishing zoning on Outer Somerset Avenue.
Changing the zoning or?
Yeah, changing the zoning, where from farmland to commercial.
Well, as you go out, everything on the left-hand side around the Crawford Road square essentially, that's highway commercial?
Highway commercial is, well, from the Higgins Road.
Up to where the
Left
kids
and
are.
right, up towards, where you can see Peter's house on the
Right, right.
the field.
Yeah, because I remember them being here, I remember Peter Vickers being here. Did that happen, was that how it's always been, or is
It's
that?
the way it was always been since I've been here.
Okay. Do you recall that? Because I remember you were
Well,
here.
we've talked about it before, you know, the commercial, by ordinance, commercial companies could relate there, but I don't expect that it will be, they'll be able to buy the property.
Yeah, right.
There's a problem.
So I wonder what they, maybe they, see, I can't remember what they were. Seems like the zoning ordinance had put something in there, and I remember we voting
Well,
about that whole.
we made a few changes through the zoning in 2011, but we didn't make any change as far as that property goes.
Oh, through there.
On, you know, on the Higgins Road, just past the Spring Road.
Yeah.
It's all commercial, but it's not available for sale.
Yeah, because technically that's all Somerset Ave to the crossroad, to the
That's
Crawford
right.
Road and Beach
Yeah,
One Road. At that
yeah,
point,
you're
then it
right.
becomes Higgins Road.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I guess I haven't paid attention to that detail. Yeah, makes sense, okay.
I know that land
Yeah.
fairly well.
Yeah, you do.
But it has to go for sale, or something has to happen to it where it's,
I was offered that land before Pete was.
Oh, you were?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
My mistake.
You missed your chance. That was a nice hayfield too.
But that was, well, there used to be 3 fields there.
Oh,
The-
right.
You know, with dividers.
Yeah.
Well, you still get, don't you take?
I farm all the land.
Yes.
Well, yes and no. I'm in the process of transitioning my farm to another ownership,
Oh.
but I'm still around. So much fun, I can't leave, so.
who would you go with yourself?
Well, that's the problem. I already found out that sitting home sounds good for about a couple of hours.
You remember, good job.
Well, I just brought that up in the sense of just discussion purposes.
No, and there's been a discussion on commercial properties. You know, Catherine was here at the end of the last meeting about the industrial park area things. And some of that doesn't sit well with me because of wetlands and things. You know, they consider everything wetlands now, so you can't get hardly anything done. And there's a lot of property in the industrial park area that would be perfectly good for industrial property. In my opinion.
What, going,
Well, in the industrial park, like beyond where Land Air Express is, you know, that area there, across the street, that, you know, where it's overgrown with brush a little bit, those are all unbuildable lots.
oh, really?
And everything behind where the bigger Somerset building was, they consider that all wetlands.
Well, I mean, I guess in the downfall, that would be is probably if that wasn't wetlands, and there'd probably have to have been a lot of construction for probably a detention pond.
You know,
In that whole thing.
a lot of other states and things, you know, they build a lot of places in, you know, potentially wetlands, and what they end up doing is basically, if they're taking away an acre of wetlands, they build, you know, they're required to build a 2 or 3 acre replacement, so to speak.
All right, somewhere else, yeah.
Like I told you.
Well, maybe that's part of the proposal. I mean, maybe that's part of the proposal in the sense of looking into what is said now under the industrial park as not being buildable area because of wetlands. I mean, there's different levels of wetlands. I mean, maybe that's part of it to see if that is now considered buildable area.
Well, she
Could
says-
be buildable area based on what's going to, money being spent.
She said that
To
basically.
do that.
You know, deals have been reached with the state years ago to develop how much of the industrial park's been developed now, so supposedly they can't go back on those deals.
Yeah. Well, they probably could.
Well-
They probably could, but it would cost money. I mean,
Well,
I guess that's what I guess
Money-
that's what I'm throwing,
money
that's what I'm
goes
throwing
there.
out on the table in the sense of the thing, and, you know, and is that part of this whole process with
Well,
the,
I think when I talk about subdivisions here, I'm talking about something that you build a house on, they divide up in lots. That's what the information. that I-
didn't it say something about industrial use too?
Well, they talked about, the small homes and, the problem is that companies, we can attract more companies, but we don't have housing for their employees. You know, we just don't have housing inventory in Pittsfield. So we need to somehow find places where people can live and, you know, build and live in town.
Because essentially right now in the rural district, you're required 200-foot road frontage for a buildable lot, you know, that's that requirement. So basically that eats up a lot of road frontage, but if you get into what, you know, these manufactured or how you want to call them, subdivisions where they have their own, you know,
Right.
road and everything. If you have, if they build a subdivision, their own road, they still have to have a 200-foot requirement even though it's their road.
Well, there are such things, not necessarily, we have a.
Because if you have an
Private way, you can do
because some of these
private
places
way.
are built and they have an association that basically maintains the roads and everything else. Some of them, they build them to state specs, so towns will take them on. So there's a number of different ways.
Well, for instance, like the Glen Eagle subdivision up on the road to Heartland, just
Okay.
just the other side of the interstate there.
Yeah.
Those were divided up in lots smaller than the required frontage, because there is a clause that talks about, and I can't remember the word, but it's a planned residential development, and they have different requirements for road frontage and so forth.
So are those some of the things that we could look at? And
Well, we have that.
we do have that.
Yeah.
It's,
I think what somebody wanted to do was to try to make our subdivision on this more friendly or less stringent. And we need to research that, but from my training and remembering from my training, it's controlled by the state, it's not controlled by us. And we might be able to make it more stringent, but
Right.
not less.
So essentially, these are the minimums we have to go by, the state standards.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure of that right now, but I thought I'd get the ball rolling
Right.
by giving you guys that information.
So if we read through this, we can kind of check off or circle things we have questions on.
There is a bit more information. If you go to the main statute search engine and write in there subdivision, there's more paperwork and more information there than I've printed out tonight.
More than you ever want to know.
Does that ordinance have a private way?
I'm sorry?
Private ways, does our ordinance have anything to deal with private ways?
Well, yeah, they do. They have requirements for cul-de-sacs and all kinds
But
of.
it comes under the private way type,
Yeah, yeah.
it does reflect that. I mean, when I was on before, we never had one go through.
We never had this ordinance?
No, I mean in the sense of identifying a project go through identified just as a private way. Because that comes under a different category than a subdivision. And I don't know, I just don't
Well,
remember
if
if that
it
private
was a-
way if there was a private way.
If there was a group development, for instance, there was a whole circle of houses and in the center, there's a recreational hall and so forth. And those have less requirements for road frontage and size, those type of lots, than if you just went out in the country and decided to build a house out there.
Yeah.
I guess my question with the 2 points that are brought up here in the letter, is there something specific that the town council or is there some specific ordinance that they think is too stringent? What is the holdup that is?
Well, they think that from my experience with them, but they think that the Maine Uniform Building and Energy Code is too stringent. What, you know, unless we can prove we have less than 3,800 or less than 44,000 people, we have no choice. We have to enforce that.
And if we were to dip under 4,000 people and open up the subdivision,
You'd be busy for building permits.
we'd get building permits and then we'd have more than 4,000 people.
Yeah.
But-
Right.
MUBEC, Maine Uniform Building and Energy Code, is uniform throughout the state. If people that have, towns that have a population of 4,000 can choose to enforce it or not, but it still applies. And if I was a contractor, I'd be nervous about that. I wouldn't build a house without engineered plans, because it is, they have to be built by code. And most of these local contractors don't understand what the codes are. They're getting the better at it all the time through experience of having to deal with me.
There's only a couple things that you can get around the MUBEC. You live in a barn, you can build it what you want.
We did that once.
But, you
Yeah,
know,
he's talking about agricultural buildings and log homes and modular homes are exempt from it.
yeah, so essentially you can have a modular home built in another state that probably possibly in theory wouldn't take the snow load that we have here in New England.
Exactly.
And it'd be perfectly legal to bring it in.
I wonder if tiny homes would, or have you heard anything about whether they're gonna be defined as modular and remove it? Cause I know when we looked at it. earlier this
They
year,
have
it was-
to, there's some exceptions that to MUBEC. But they have to follow MUBEC as far as sewer connections and so forth.
Has anybody brought a proposal in to build a tiny home or put a tiny home in?
We've been asked to address that and, you know, see if we could come up with a development area.
You know, one of the questions or discussions have been, you've got two houses that are $250,000 houses, and there's a lot between. Someone puts a little tiny home there. What's it do with the values next door? You know, so there's been questions on that possibly looking at allowing these, but not in every district.
We've got a great big house across the street from our house that couldn't burn down the value anymore.
But you know what I mean? That's one of the discussions. You know.
I'd rather have a tiny house.
I know you're making, a joke partially, but one of the things that was said in here, under 10 homes are listed for sale or are in the process of being sold. But there are more than 10 abandoned houses in town. There are houses that, haven't been with, code violations and other things that haven't been addressed yet that I know we were working on. And if those lots or if those houses were available, we'd have more than 10 homes. We wouldn't have 200, but housing stock would be a little bit higher at least.
I think you'll find that the biggest percentage of houses that basically have been unmaintained, looked abandoned or whatever, are people in nursing home care, and that house is in limbo because we're dealing with it directly.
Right.
And it's a nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that somebody's negligent. What I'm saying, so for example, if somebody, is in a nursing home, which I know is a fairly common thing, what if we were to figure out some sort of program where they could rent the house to people coming in, and then we have housing suddenly? I mean, it seems like there are more creative solutions than just carte blanche opening up the rural district to all kinds of development.
No, and I don't know exact things, but essentially, you can take the house and sell it. It has to be sold either at tax value or appraised value. I think you have to have 2 or 3 appraised values. And so one of the things it does is it goes into that person's account, kicks them out of main care till that money gets used up, and the amount of money they spend at the for the nursing care the amount gets used up relatively quickly, because most of these houses are, $200,000 houses. And then what happens is, that money gets used up, and then you have to start all over again, reapplying for all main care and everything else, and my wife would attest that it's a long, drawn-out process, and very unfriendly.
Right.
And so we basically turned down a couple of potential sales, because it was just, essentially it was gonna kick them out of main care for maybe less than 60 days, and we were told it might take 6 or 8 months to get covered again.
Yeah.
So at that point you say, well, why bother?
Yeah. And I don't want, I'm not saying we should seize people's
Right.
houses. I'm just saying, are there creative ways that we can find to promote people using those houses for something other than
And I think
sitting there?
that would take state involvement.
Isn't that out of our identifying ourselves as going into looking at people's houses and?
As the planning board, yes.
As a planning board.
But we've been talking for a year or two on ways to attract more people to town, get more houses, more businesses, so that's part of this letter, to have the planning
I
board.
mean, what you guys are talking about is out of our,
Right.
Yeah, we
is
can't
out
do
of
anything.
what we're doing, supposed to be doing here.
So we talk about it anyway, just because it's become an issue.
The town council and the planning board, there's been discussions to try to work together on trying to look at some of these problems or issues, work together a little bit. Biggest part is James was trying to get us to have some meetings together, and then all this COVID stuff started happening. Basically to sit down and discuss things, not an official voting meeting or anything, but something to hash different things out.
Well, has there been discussion about exactly where in the town it's identified as being possibly, I mean, it would have to be the people that own the property would sell it, but where that is to look at subdivisions that are potential areas? I mean, has that been discussed?
Not directly, but I think essentially any property in the rural district could be turned into a subdivision if they're following the rules.
Well, yeah, but then also we're supposed to discourage growth in the rural areas.
We're supposed to discourage it, just like one of the things in the papers we went through tonight, we didn't talk about it, but one of the things is to identify, prime farmlands. And it's in the comprehensive plan. They want to identify prime farmlands, you identify it, and then at that point, it doesn't make any difference. So you can still do anything you want.
Yeah, I know it.
It's one of those things that it makes you feel good, you identified it, but I tried 20 or 30 years ago to get them to basically put an incentive to keep it as farmland, as a cut on taxes or something along that line, and nobody was interested in pursuing anything because they felt it was, wasn't fair to other people. But so you identify the farm, the prime farmland, and then you just wave goodbye and it's gone. Granted, if it's your land, you should be able to do pretty much what you want. That's why, if there's an incentive to keep it, you keep more. But in the rural district, in 40 years that I've been here, I probably can point out in excess of 150 houses that have been built on prime farmland. It's just what it is. All surrounding towns, everybody is the same way.
Given.
Right. Because, because, a lot of people would rather live out where, they can't throw a rock from their house to the neighbor's house. Want some woods to hunt, or gardens, whatever. I have no problem with that.
Right now with the COVID thing going on, Massachusetts is moving to Maine.
I know.
In droves. And, when we put our property up for sale, we didn't sell it to anyone from Massachusetts, but in 3 days it was gone. And I just talked to my girlfriend from California, and she just sold a property down in Wells, and 2 days it was gone. And hers, of course, came up from Massachusetts, but all around, our realtor, when we put it up, said, you know, Massachusetts people are gonna be. But they didn't get a chance to, so. So-
My oldest daughter and her husband are in Bethel. They've got a place they've owned for less than 10 years. They could sell it for twice what they paid, but the problem is, everything they want to is gone
It's
twice what it was before.
Right,
So-
right. That's right. Well, what they're afraid of is they're trying to get out of the cities to get
Right.
away from the clusters of people.
Right.
And so they're looking at Maine as a place that has, you know, a place where you can let your dog run in the backyard and, you know, go for a walk and stuff like that.
Hey, can I say something right now?
Sure.
Just because, you know, the way the agenda is working. What we're gonna do with this letter is we're gonna review the information Steve gave us. And, that'll be homework to come back in 2 weeks. So we can actually adjourn, and we can still have discussion after adjournment, for anybody that wants to get out of here.
So do we want to address anything in this letter, the meetings twice a month instead of once a month? We're doing it right now.
I guess my suggestion would be if we have sufficient reason to be here twice a month,
Yeah.
you know, do it. If like late last winter when nothing happened,
Right.
no use having meetings if there's not much going on.
Right.
Save
Exactly.
our big paycheck.
Yeah.
You feel that okay, Steve, like that? If we have the need to come in, have 2 meetings.
Yeah. Well, I think we got the need, because we've got this one, and then there was, remember, Chinbro's sign request.
Right.
We haven't addressed that, because that fell by the wayside with all this virus thing.
Well, that's still out there. I guess I
Yeah.
thought that was,
No, we've never done anything with it. The virus thing has made my job tremendously busy. I haven't had any time to do anything as far as code enforcement. All I can do, find time to do, is to make out building permits and site plan reviews. Oh, I don't have time to do it all right now. If we're gonna have 2 meetings a month, that makes it worse for me.
How many hours are you working a week?
So I work 24 hours.
24 hours.
So, you know, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
That's how it's been right from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I actually have another job that I work on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So though I have put in a couple of 40-hour weeks here, because that other job has been slow.
You were an overachiever, Steve.
No, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. But people are gonna start thinking I'm not doing my job, because I'm not doing everything that I have to do. I have to decide what's more important. To me, it's more important to approve site plan than it is to spend time writing letters to somebody who's got junk in their yard, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's you, I guess, from my sheet, I would say, I mean, that's you to decide on that priority in which way it needs to
Yeah.
develop. But has there been discussion in the sense administration upstairs to pass the buck on to any of this stuff? And do they help you in making copies and?
No. No, they pay, I make a pretty good salary, I admit, and they pay me to stuff envelopes and put stamps on them, do the filing. I've got nobody that does that for me at all. I've asked many times, but it's never happened.
It doesn't happen.
you really could use an assistant.
Yeah.
Well, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting and take our homework home, and I mean, I think there's all kinds of a discussion that can go on, in my opinion, from this letter and what the approach is, and I think it's just a matter of, I think the one thing is it's a matter of what is one way to go.
Right.
Find a line and go that way and see what happens, you know, or see if it is accomplishing anything. What that is, well, I'm not 100% sure on that, but.
Yeah. I guess I have one little comment. Does our new alternate have anything he wants to say?
Nothing to that here.
Okay.
Actually, I should have thrown you in that seat, because minus a member, you could have filled in.
Oh, yeah, I guess, but
But I guess it doesn't, yeah, this is, we were just trying to get some stuff out of our hair. That's why we're meeting 2 times this month. But, yeah, you know,
I
Tom's
think
right.
he made a motion for us to adjourn. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sometimes these discussions go on for a long, long time. That's why I think, you know, if you adjourn, if you wanna leave, you're free.
I will go turn off our camera.
Then you can say anything you want to say.
Yeah, the comprehensive plan is fun. Yeah, it does, I mean, that was